All, I'm Omkar, host of Engineering Talks. Today on the sixth episode, we have a special guest with us, Mr. Praveen Tiwari. Talking about Mr. Praveen, he's completed his BTech in Petroleum in 2009 from UPS Dehradun. After that, he started his first job with L&T as a cost estimator and proposal engineer. He also worked with Linde, Fluor, and now he is associated with ExxonMobil as a cost and schedule supervisor. Apart from his career journey, there are few more things to tell. He is managing director of hashtag EPC community. Then he is a part of LinkedIn career accelerator program also. And the third one is he started the People of Impact series, which covered the life journeys of engineering personalities. So without further ado, I will start with the first question. So, sir, I want to start the first question related to content creation. So, as from oil and gas, chemical, or engineering background, the not most of peoples are involved into the not interested to being a content creator. So,
Yep.
how does it feel as a creator on LinkedIn?
Sure, Omkar. So, I will answer that. But yes, before that, thanks a lot for inviting me for your show and that wonderful introduction of mine. Just one correction. So, I am not the managing director of hashtag EPC. It's a managing editor.
Yes.
It's my own website, so I can call myself whatever I want. So,
Yes.
it's something which I have created my own designation. It's like a managing editor. So we'll talk more about the hashtag EPC and other stuff also. But yes. Coming back to your question about creating something on LinkedIn, especially with people coming from oil and gas or the technical background. So first of all, Omkar, I don't consider myself as a big creator. So
Right.
I think there are a lot of other people who are very good into it, who are very regular into it. They post really good contents about not just for oil and gas and other stuff also. So I don't think I am still at that level. But yes, one thing which I feel that this oil and gas, chemicals, or even in general all the engineering things which we do, these are very complicated at the same time very interesting, right? So if we are doing something in our regular work, if we are coming across something, if we are learning something, or if we find something which is interesting, which is worth sharing with others, we have now in the we are in the era of such great IT things, that nothing is stopping us to share those things with others, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I do. That's what I am doing. That time whenever I'm working with my some regular my projects or anything, if I find something is interesting, if I find that something is worth sharing with others, I just share those things with others. That's all I am doing. I don't think I am doing a very big content creation, and nothing is stopping others also to do that, right? So that's why probably this was my initial thought process also. Initially, when I was not using LinkedIn at all, and when I was coming across some good learnings, there was a lot of reservations earlier, right? That okay, I'm posting something, it will go into a professional network. Is this everything is correct? Is this a perfect post or not? So those things
Yeah.
were not stopping me from doing anything like that. But slowly I realized that that there are people who are like young people, there are people with a different function, different background, they may be interested in whatever you are posting, right? So if you are sticking to some basics, if you're sticking to something fundamental, it's okay to post, it's okay to share with others, and maybe you can call yourself then a creator.
Yes.
It's not that being a creator does not mean that you need to be very good in your language. Maybe if you are using English, you need to be perfect in English, you cannot make any mistakes. The content should be the perfect. Not required. Whatever you want to share, whatever you want to tell the others, just create a post, post it on LinkedIn, post on other platforms. Yeah, you can call yourself a creator then.
Yes. Right.
All right. Yeah.
My second one is how LinkedIn is changing the lives. You have seen it a lot from LinkedIn.
Yep,
Could you
yep.
give us some examples regarding that?
Yeah, so Omkar, when LinkedIn started, probably it was in 2011 or somewhere that time. After that, for a long, maybe 5 to 6 years, even more than that, probably LinkedIn was seeing just as jobs, right? So if you need a job, people went to LinkedIn, started searching, right? That was the mindset which most of the people had. Probably even I had also started LinkedIn from that point also. Like I am active in LinkedIn since way long, maybe 2011, 12, but I'm using it more actively just 2, 3 years back, right? So that was the initial perception about LinkedIn for everyone. But what I am seeing is, since LinkedIn has now become such a big network, there are so many people, with different professions, different industry into LinkedIn. If we understand it better, if we are using it properly, it can definitely help us in a lot of other ways. Don't just limit yourself. Yes, in a professional network, a good job, a good role is obviously the biggest priority, the biggest focus. But apart from that, there are a lot of other things which we can get from the a platform like LinkedIn, right? Say networking, knowing others, right? What others are doing. Someone is, we talked about content creation. Someone is posting something. How you are understanding from that. So this is what I have seen, from the day I started using LinkedIn, where it was just jobs. Now people are using it, for their own career development. There are people are using it for, for their own, interest. I have known about, since you asked about examples, I have heard about a lot of stories. When I talk to people one on one, I have heard about a lot of people who have switched their roles, just because they were interacting with others, just because they became a bit aware using LinkedIn or other social network. What are the some other opportunities available for them, right? So this is how I think LinkedIn is impacting others. It is helping others. First is definitely job. I will not deny that for job it's a good platform. Second is for your own career development and networking. And third is to make some informed decisions.
Okay. Can you share some experience about LinkedIn Career Accelerator program during the program and after the program? What
Yeah.
was your
So yep, yep, yep. So so just circles back to my previous say discussion, Omkar. When I told that LinkedIn initially started with just like for on a focus on job. Uh, Probably people at LinkedIn also realized that they should move away from just jobs to some other things also, and that was the reason they came up with a program called LinkedIn Creator Accelerator program. We call it as a LeCap program. They started that from US, and then they rolled out this program in India also last year. So this was a 2 month program. And during the journey, one good thing, that this was already say fully designed from LinkedIn. During this entire journey, or I would say during this 2 month of program, LinkedIn came up with a lot of sessions for us. So people who were participating into this, they came up with a lot of sessions. They had some they let us have some interactive sessions with a lot of say influencers or content creators on LinkedIn. And people who are impacting lives of others. So there were some big names with whom we were having some interactions, learning about their own story, learning about their own journey, learning about how they create content, how they reach out to people. So that was one good part of the program. And LinkedIn also introduced us with a lot of different tools, methods which we can use when we are writing something, when we are creating any content on LinkedIn. So that was during the 2 month journey, where we had a lot of interactive sessions, where we had a lot of kind of training kind of things with the LinkedIn people. And another good part of the entire program, this now covering this part is covering now after the LeCap program was done, right? So since we got introduced to a lot of people, the LeCap other participants, so we found our own group. There is a WhatsApp group, which where we have some regular interactions. I am not very active on that group, but yes, that is one of the biggest takeaways for us. That we got introduced to a lot of other people who are doing some content creation, who are doing some good posts, good sessions on LinkedIn, and they may not be from the same industry. Like I think I was the only person who was in the maybe one or two people only who were in the oil and gas or project EPC project sector. Rest others were with a different background, different industry. That also helps a lot to understanding their perspective, how other people are creating content, how they're trying to reach out to the people. So that was which is benefiting us even after the program has got over.
just out of curiosity, is there any specific selection criteria for that accelerator program at that time?
So Omkar, only LinkedIn knows about that. No one knows how they selected, what was the criteria, because in India they selected 200 people for the entire batch. And like I told, all of us were with a very different background. Like earlier I was thinking, when I was looking into this program, I thought that there are people who have say 50,000, 60,000, maybe 100,000 of followers, right, on LinkedIn. Probably they will be the one who will be selected. I don't have any chance in getting selected for for this story. But when I joined the program, there were all kind of people, right? It's not just how active you are on LinkedIn. It's not just how big follower count you have. Like there are people who had just 2,000 followers, right? Even they were also part of the program. And what I understood that even there are people where their followers are not a very high count, still their content is fantastic. Like they write very superb content. So maybe LinkedIn did some evaluation, how you're using LinkedIn, how you are influencing others. They may have some of their own criteria. Obviously they don't share that with us, and I'm sure they will not share that with anyone, because that's how they want to work. They want to do these kind of programs. But yes, no specific criteria, or no specific algorithm which we follow, and we can just get selected into that.
Correct. Moving further, talking about the People of Impact series.
Mhm.
How the People of Impact series started and what was the idea behind it?
Yeah. So when I started to when I started talking to people, I had some regular interactions. Maybe sometimes it was one-on-one, sometimes during some say forums or sessions. One thing which I realized that if we visit someone's say a LinkedIn profile, or if we see their CV, right? We can see their career path, right? Someone started as an engineer, then became a say a kind of lead engineer or a manager, then head, stuff like so that we can see in their LinkedIn profile. But while talking to all these people, what I realized that every time there is some story behind the entire journey, right? It's we are saying something upfront, we are saying something on LinkedIn, we are saying something on CV, or we see something while we or we hear something while we talk to people. But there is a lot of background to that. There is a lot of story behind that, right? And whenever I was talking to them, I felt that that story was really interesting. Understand how they reached there, what were the challenges they faced, what is their thought process, how do they treat things and all at first. So that's what I thought that okay, it's worth highlighting, identifying such people, highlighting not just their some basic career steps, talking about some more details about how they did that, what were the challenges, what were their own learning. So this was the background where I thought that okay, I should come up with a some series, some newsletter which would be highlighting just about the people, their skills, their capabilities, with a focus on not just on what we are seeing upfront, but with a focus on the the story behind it. So
Correct.
that's what I thought that we should be coming up with some series.
Within a year, 8 editions of the People of Impact. But from past few months, I have seen a gap within that. Is there any specific reason or you are planning something big?
No, Omkar, so I'm not planning something big. Yes, the reason is that obviously, whether it's you, me, we are also having a regular base job, right? So we are not
Yes.
just fully committed to this. So we have some other stuff, we have our own families, we have some other priorities also. So last I think 6 to 8 months has been very busy for me. So I had some other lot of things happening. So I was busy with that. So that is one reason that why I didn't get a chance to do something on the People of Impact series. Now whenever I'm doing this, the main purpose, like I mentioned, that we want to highlight people's achievement, people's story, right? I don't want to do this just for a formality, right? Just to maintain that sequence, or just to maintain running the newsletter. So I don't want to just for the sake of writing. I don't want to do it. So whenever I'm
Yes.
writing about someone, whenever I'm reaching out to someone, I like to spend time about them, reading about them, what should be the best thing to be highlighted about their career. So I want to spend some time, right? So if I feel that I will not get sufficient time, it's better to not publish it for some time, rather than compromising someone else, if I'm not able to represent them rightly. So I don't want to know that kind of compromise. So that is the only reason why you are not seeing a lot of new publish say stories for that. But I am glad that you have started with your engineering talks.
Correct. Which is the
So,
basically idea from People of Impact.
uh,
I'm motivated from the People of Impact series, and then I one day I thought that we have to start something that one-to-one session with engineering personalities. So the young engineers and the freshers from industries will get motivated. At least out of 100, one student can
mhm.
impacted will be fruitful for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been, I have been watching that. I have been following that. whenever I get some time, I go into your channel, I see it. You are doing very great. So I'm glad that you are filling that gap, and I am sure you are already doing it, in a right way. I am sure you will be doing much better than what I have been doing with the people in fact. So all the best for that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Who is next in your list of people of impact?
So I have few names which I have shortlisted, Omkar. So I haven't finalized with them. So I had some interactions with them. So I'm not disclosing their name as of now, but there are maybe just two to three people. So whenever I get some time, like I told, I will be publishing with the next edition. But yes, I have some people who are already just shortlisted, have some interactions with them. So hopefully whenever I get some time, you will start seeing those results.
Uh, have you planned to write about yourself in the People of Impact series as a the People of Impact?
I don't think so. I am still at that level. Maybe in the future, Omkar, but as of now, no such plan. Maybe if I start writing, I am not as talented as you all, so I don't have a lot of stuff to share. So if I start writing about myself, probably I will end up posting my CV. So no such plan as of now.
Okay. What is your goal forward? Like, if I say concluding the People of Impact series, and what is your long-term or short-term goal regarding that newsletter?
So I would say there is no short-term goal or anything like that for that, Omkar. So that is the I just wanted to highlight people. So I think that will continue. It's not that that I will stop that newsletter after some time, or I will do it very differently. So this is the theme which I have selected. So I will continue with that. Yes, as long as get to know about people. Sometimes I find the people by myself. Sometimes some other people recommend. So till I am getting to the people, and it's just 8 editions now. I am sure there will be hundred of people about whom we want to listen, about whom we want to say study, right? So I will continue with that. Yes, it may not be with a very fixed frequency that I am posting every month or something. It will depend whenever I get some good profiles which I wanted to show, which I want to share. But yes, long term plan is that keep continuing with that.
It's like a passion for us.
Yeah. It is.
Next one is that is there any specific selection criteria when you select the people for this newsletter?
No, there is no specific selection criteria. It all depends that to who all are in the network. Who are a bit. Sometimes it happens that people who are inactive on LinkedIn. So we come to know. We see that okay, such people already have good influence on others. So let's talk about more about them. So there's no fixed criteria that either in terms of any specific industry, any specific role, any specific years of experience. So I don't go into that. Yes, people whom I know, sometimes others recommend me people, some people, so I go for that. Say if I take example of, say, I started with Vinay Kumar, right? So he is active on LinkedIn since long. Like when I started using LinkedIn in maybe 2011 12, he was still there. He was there, and he was posting good content since that time, right? So he's not just a very knowledgeable person, very experienced person, but he has been active into LinkedIn since long. He already also has a EPC group, EPC professional group, which is probably one of the largest group in LinkedIn, right? So I already knew about him, so I thought that okay, I should be highlighting his journey, his 40 years of experience, which is spread across. He has been into nuclear, he has been into oil and gas, he has been into food industry, he has been into chemicals. So when we bring about, when we talk about such people, the young people like you and me, we get inspired, right? That it's not just oil and gas where we can focus, we can look into some other area also, right? So that was where how I started with Vinay. Vijay, I think in process industry, process roles, almost everyone knows it. So that was obviously my next choice. Shashidhar, he is very regular on LinkedIn. He really posts very knowledgeable things. So those three people were already in my list. That okay, let's start with that. And once you start that, once you start looking into people profiles and all, then automatically you start getting about next ideas, right?
Correct.
Prema, if I remember, she once commented some very good on there was some post, and she came up with some very good comment on that. So that's why I came across. So that's why that's the importance of LinkedIn, right? It's not just your profile and all, how active you are, what kind of things you are posting, not as a individual post, sometimes as a comment also. So I visited her profile. I saw, that okay, starting as an instrumentation engineer, she's now, director CEO of a very big, EPC company. So that's how I start getting people. Now specific, if I talk about say Ankur and Kavita, so both are different profiles, but there are some similarities. Ankur moved from maintenance to design, which a lot of process engineers, they ask this question very regularly. So that was worth highlighting, that hey, if you want to make a switch, this is one example. Kavita on the other hand, she started as a process engineer and she moved into construction, right? So that is also, it gets a good insight that there are a lot of different career options. That's how, I just keep on say looking for people, profiles, and whenever I get something relevant or something inspiring, I select them.
Is there any impact on your personal life from this People of Impact series?
I would say yes, because when I like I mentioned, that all these different people. If you see, I talked about Vinay, say Shashidhar, Vijay, Ankur, Kavita, Prema, Rajan, and recently I did for I think yeah. So whoever people I have done, one thing which you see, all of them are coming from a very humble background, right? Probably a lot of them are not even coming from those top engineering colleges, right? Still, if you see, they are in their position, right? They are known people in the industry. They are doing a lot of impactful full work in the industry. So that's gives me an inspiration that we may be coming from a different background, either from education, maybe from your family backgrounds and all, but those are not something which will limit your success, limit your development in industry. So if you are focused, if you are learning, if you are developing, you can be, you can reach to any position, irrespective of, irrespective of your education, irrespective of anything which is not related to your work. So that is the biggest impact I had while interacting with these people.
I also read all the 8th edition. From that, I get that continuous learning is the common in all that peoples.
Yeah, yeah. So that is a very common theme, continuous learning. And if you see, probably there will be a they have moved to through different roles. They have not just stuck to just one specific, yeah, just one specific role. They have moved to different roles. They have moved to different industries. That also helps, right? That also helps you to have a kind of an overall development, not just into one specific area or not just into one specific thing.
Right. Moving further, we will talk about some hashtag APC.
Mhm. Yep.
The first question I want to ask regarding our hashtag APC, that according to you, how hashtag APC will make a difference in engineering community?
Yeah. So Omkar, just some background to this. Obviously we all know the Indian engineering sector, it is dominated by the IT industry, right? IT started developing since long back, and it's a good thing, right? It's a very positive thing, because just because of I have a lot of my friends, my colleagues who are in IT. Professionally, they are doing very good. They have they are doing great roles. They have had a very great career path, and it's a kind of pride for us as a country, right? Because just because of IT, the Indian engineering services and all, that is that has a place in the global market. So all that's a good thing. The only flip side of that is, or I would say the only one say bad part of that is that since it is all IT driven mostly, people who are not into the IT industry, people who are having the mechanical, chemical, civil, structural, they sometimes feel a bit left out, right? There's not a lot of things which there are not a lot of people who can guide them. There are not of things available either online or anywhere where they can go understand what they want to do and plan for themselves. So that was that one say basic objective, which I thought I mentioned earlier, I do a lot of one-on-one interactions with others, and I definitely felt that there is a gap, that people are not aware, right? People are not aware about what are the different career options in this field. So that's what I thought, that we should be coming up with some community like this, and that's why that was when I started thinking about doing something in this field. And once I was doing it, I thought that once I started interacting with others, I started getting some idea that what exactly needs to be done. So I started with this website called #epc.com, and the only purpose of this is, the only objective is that it should be one place where we should be able to manage all those different aspects of any career development, whether it's about awareness, whether it's about training, whether it's about job. So no, that's the one place where we want to target.
What are the challenges faced till today from
Mhm.
starting the hashtag EPC until now? Because convincing the people is not the easy thing, and as from core engineering background, developing a website is not an easy thing for chemical or petroleum engineer.
Yeah, so I had no previous IT background, so I had no idea about, how websites are developed, how, even the servers are connected, stuff like that, how things we develop if you want to add some features and all. But these are not, that difficult also, right? So that was the initial challenge for me, Omkar, because, I was doing it alone. And when I started this, it was in maybe around 2019 or end 2019 when I started, thinking about this. And 2020, it was, COVID and all. So lot of things, we were not aware how to do things virtually and all. Earlier I used to had a lot of, personal interactions which got limited. So that was the initial challenge. And like you mentioned, that being into, petroleum engineering, not into IT, not understanding any of those stuff. So that was initial, that's why it took a lot of time for me also, to develop this website. But what I did was that, that was also my initial plan as well, right? Like in projects, if we talk about any oil and gas project, right, we develop the project in phases, correct? We start with a concept stage, then we go for a feed stage, then we go for a detail stage, and then we finally execute it. So I also split this into, those kind of things. So initial till now, I would say it was still around concept phase, where I was gathering information. I was gathering, the insights that, what is the need of the people, where what areas we need to target, who will be the right person to know to do what kind of thing. So I was focusing more on these things. In parallel, I created this website. So earlier it was that was not my plan. Earlier my plan was to, first get everything and then, come up with a website. But then I thought that, the only thing which was missing was that whenever I was getting an information, how to, say, coordinate with others, how to. So I needed one common platform where I could have, shared these things with others. So that's why I came up with a very basic structure of a website. And if you have visited that, or if you see that, that website is still under development. Like I keep on adding features, I keep on developing it, step by step. That's why I'm not publishing that website a lot in the network. I first want it's working, the website is working, it is doing its base job, but still there are a lot of things to be developed. So I'm going a bit slow on that. Challenges was there to get others. Challenges were there, to make a website without any background. But finally, I think it's moving ahead.
How do you see hashtag EPC solving problems or will solve the problems in the future in the engineering community?
Yeah. So I think the biggest problem uh, which we are targeting, right, like I mentioned, is creating awareness about awareness among the people, right? So that is one thing, and this I am talking more about from the career development point of view, not just about, the EPC industry. So that is one area, where with all our modules which we have planned, all the structures which we have planned, uh, I think we'll be able to create a lot of awareness about the people. Say if I take example of a chemical engineer coming out of the college. Now he or she doesn't know that their mindset is that, the chemical engineering means equipment design, right? Whenever I ask any fresher that what is your favorite subject, I don't know. What is that with chemical engineers? Almost 90% say heat exchangers, right?
Yeah. It
They
extended
will say heat exchanger design is their favorite subject. Probably that's nothing wrong in that. It's okay. But that's what I want to know when I talk to them. I if they have the interest in equipment design, I explain to them, okay, that this is what they can do with that. But parallelly, I also let them know that apart from just the equipment design, there are a lot of other options for a chemical engineer, right? You can start with a process design, you can start with equipment design, you can go into loss prevention, process safety, you can go into projects, right? You can become a cost engineer, you can go into procurement, managing, some complex packages. You can also go into commissioning and startup, right? So it's not just the equipment design which the chemical engineers will be doing. So think about it, right? Sometimes, some people want to be on field, right? That is their preference. Some people want to be in office. So if you know what options are available, that will help you to plan your career. So that is, one of the biggest thing which we want to address is create awareness among different industry people.
Can you tell me your top three goals regarding hashtag EPC?
So it's just a summary of, what we just discussed, Omkar. So yes, first of all, I already mentioned creating awareness. Second is bringing together the people. So we already have social networks like LinkedIn and all, but I wanted to be, this one to be very specific related to EPC. So that is the second goal or target. And the third one definitely, to provide a career guidance to people, which should ultimately end up in some job satisfaction for them, getting some good say meaningful fulfilling jobs for them. So these are the three main targets which we are trying to accomplish now.
As a EPC project guy, how would you describe ours? How would you develop, or how someone develop
Mhm.
their self 360-degree as a
Mhm.
EPC project?
Right. So the answer lies in your question itself. 360 degree. Right. So so my suggestion is, that see, we will be joining anyway. Now the EPC industry, it has a lot of different functions, right? If you start from design till projects, startup commissioning, there are a lot of different roles. So there are a lot of different job functions within the EPC, right? So you will be starting with something, some base thing. Say for example, someone started as a procurement, right? So he or she will be understanding about how they are managing the procurement, how they are issuing POs, some of the technical stuff about, say, someone is the procurement engineer for, say, rotary packages, maybe a pump. So they will understand about, what are the different kind of pumps, who are the suppliers, so they will focus on that. But my suggestion to everyone is that, yes, focus on your fundamentals. So if you have started as a procurement engineer, within first 1 year, 2 year, try to be understand everything about procurement, right? Starting from creating a PO to understanding all the commercial terms and conditions, right? That should be your focus. But in parallel, try to also understand what are the other things related to your scope. So I am doing a procurement, I am buying a pump, but because of my roles and responsibilities, because of my work, what are the other disciplines which are interconnected to me, right? From where I am getting some inputs, right? What are the inputs which I am getting? Who is generating that? Whatever I am doing, who uses that kind of information, or who uses that kind of work? Try to have that kind of understanding. Don't just limit yourself, just to the task given to you, right? The reason I tell this is because obviously once you start looking for other things, definitely it helps you to have a better development. When you start talking about, when you start thinking about the other discipline roles, right? You will see that, say for a procurement engineer, probably he or she will see, if they start understanding the role of a project engineer or a design engineer, they will understand what are the challenges they are facing, right? Once you understand their challenges, it will help you to develop yourself into a, not just your particular scope or your particular function. It will help you to understand how you can look into some other functions also. So try to widen your scope. Don't just limit yourself. It will help you to have a better career development. It may also help you to do some good planning for your career, right? I know that since the reason I'm talking about procurement so much today is because few days back I had one interaction with one procurement engineer, and what he was mentioning, that he was earlier into procurement, just because he was focusing on some other aspects also. He got interested in logistics, right? In oil and gas, logistics also places has a very big role, because we need to move all those big equipments, packages from different locations. So while he was doing a procurement, he felt that he has an interest in that kind of planning, planning movement of all those big things and all. Slowly, he started moving into planning for that, and from procurement he moved into a logistics manager category. This will help you, to have a good overall development, as well as a different career options.
Know what to know is the tagline of hashtag EPC. Who came with this and the reason behind choosing this? Know what to know.
Yeah, so that basically when I started Omkar, I started it all alone, the hashtag EPC. So whatever things you see, mostly it is by me. So I have got some very good support from other friends and all, so they have been helping. But they are also just like me and you, they are also occupied with their own base work. So they are not very regular, but yes, they it's not all alone. A lot of people have helped me to create this. Now, but the tagline, yes, I created that, and probably I don't know from where I thought about it, but probably it is from my own learnings, right? When I completed my engineering, I joined the industry. I was not aware that what where I should be focusing, right? So I started as a cost engineer, but within cost engineer also, we follow something as a 80-20 rule. What things should be your priority, right? How we should be doing it, how you should develop your career, what things you should be doing which will add value to your career, right? So I was not aware of anything about that. So whatever work was given to me, I was just trying to understand. Maybe after 2 years, 3 years into the industry, I started to realize that no, I need to have some other understanding also. I need to understand some other things also. So that's what probably there was something in my mind that whenever someone is starting their career, either they are starting or whatever stage they should be knowing what they should know, right? Once you know that what should be your priority, once you know what will help you to develop your own career, I'm sure you will be able to come up with a plan and you will be able to achieve that. But until unless you understand that, it becomes very difficult. So probably that was a thought process with my own challenges, with my own experience. This tagline came. I'm not very good at these things somehow. I found this.
But a good explanation, like you have to know what to know.
Exactly. So that's what I thought, and that's a big struggle which I see with freshers. Say someone has given them certain role, and even if they are so many times they don't like it, they are not very satisfied with their current role. They are not aware that what other options are available, right? So they start getting frustrated. They feel that okay, if I have started my role as either a design engineer or a project engineer or site engineer, maintenance engineer, there's no other option for me. I have to continue in the same, right? They start feeling like that, and sometimes they get frustrated. Sometimes they get a bit demoralized. So that's the whole reason why I came up with this title.
What are your plans to reach more and more audience in the future for hashtag APC?
Mhm. Right. So like I told, this was like we develop a project. So this was still under the concept phase. So the initial part, yeah, concept feasibility, getting information. So initial part was just to identify our needs, or what exactly people need, how we can help them. I think we are already, we have advanced into a certain stage where we are able to create some value for the individuals. Not very frequently, not very actively, but we have already done. We were able to manage some training sessions for some of our initial members of the community. So in January, we were able to get some for 17 people, 17. We were able to get some good training courses, which we collaborated with different organizations. I think in March also we got two. Then in May I got one, and recently in June also I got one. So that is one of the focus going forward, just to reach more people. We are coming up with some more training sessions. These are not exactly trainings given by us, but this can be with different organizations, because sometimes they come up with different training modules and they offer us for either some free module or a discounted module. So we just pass it on to our members. So that is one area where we are trying to have some more jobs. Definitely job is one of the major concern or focus for a lot of people. So we will be trying more on how to manage referrals between the industry. So we already started that. Maybe till in the last 2 years we were able to manage some good job referrals for probably for 3 people. So we were already doing it, but we were not doing it very actively. So that we'll be focusing more on that. And the third thing which we wanted to focus, and this has come from all the insights from others, like people like you and others, you also want to do your own content creation, right? LinkedIn is
Correct.
already there. There is option is there, but it has certain limitations in terms of say post length and those kind of things.
Mm.
So what we did was that initially when we started, this was just like an individual blog. Like initially it was just as an admin. So me and my friends who were admin, only they could have written any post into that, right? So we removed that thing now. We removed that restriction now. Now anyone who has created a profile there, anyone who has registered for the website, you can write your own technical articles into that and maybe then post it into LinkedIn or any other social media which you are. So these are the three areas which we are focusing. Providing more trainings, trying to connect with job seekers and job providers, and the third thing is enabling people to do their own technical content creation.
Okay. Things are moving slowly, but all the best for the future.
Thank you, sir. So with support from people like you, I'm sure we will be able to create more value for the people who are using it.
Okay. So let's talk about the life journey and some
Mhm.
career.
Yeah.
So first question about life journey is how would you describe the
Mhm.
upbringing and the values instill in you during the childhood?
Yeah. So it's a tough question for me, Omkar. The reason is I'm not very good in relating these things to my own either talk about my study, my career, or other things. So no. So probably I will just give it a thought. But yes, maybe in the childhood, I was very much focused about my about my study. Whatever I was doing, I always wanted to go into depth of everything, right? So if even during the school topics, physics was my favorite subject. So whenever I was reading something, so there were a lot of people, there were a lot of other friends who were focusing on that how to get good marks, which I don't say that it's a wrong approach, because that's in the end that matters a lot, right? Your marks and all. But somehow I wanted to understand more about things, right? So physics and all, whenever I used to read some concept, I used to spend a lot of time in just one single concept to understand that, right? So that was how I was doing my studies in my childhood. Probably that thing continued when I went into college, and that's the same thing is continuing in my professional life also. So that is the one thing which I can relate now. But like I told, I'm not very good in these things. So I don't think I will be able to give a very good answer to this question.
Uh, are there any movies, books, or quotes that profoundly influenced on your perspective of life?
So I'm not a very avid book reader. I don't read books a lot. But yes, there are few books which I am. This is not just for life. It's not just for particular profession. So I have read a book which is called The Design of Everything. It is by, probably, if I'm not mistaken, it's by Don Brown. So that's a very good. It's a very old book. It's a very old book, and the title may sound that it's for technical people. It's for just for engineering and those kind of people, but it's not exactly the same. Like, anyone can read it. It talks about some very basic things, whatever things we see around us, right? Whether it's a stair, whether it's a chair, or even very basic things. That book talks about that how we should be designing that so that it fulfills its main purpose. So it's a very good book, The Design of Everything by Don Brown. And the other book which I like a lot is The Gecko's Feet. I'm forgetting the name of the author. And if I remember, I wrote a LinkedIn post about it probably long back. So if you want, I can share the link with you. The good thing about this particular book is The Gecko's Feet. It talks about how nature has inspired a lot of things which we have developed, which the scientists or the engineers have developed around us. So it talks about a lot of different examples. So I like that book a lot. So I can share the exact names with you. These are good, interesting books. Now, movies, yes. I don't remember anything. Again, I don't think a lot about that whether this is influencing me or not. But I don't have a particular list of movies which has influenced my life. But recently I was watching a movie. It's a Tamil movie. It's a Hindi dub movie from Tamil. Its name is Udan. So probably you all may not be knowing, your generation may not be knowing about Captain Gopinath, but he was, a person, he started Deccan Airlines. So earlier, initially, maybe in early 2000s and all, flight was very expensive. It was just for some elite people, right? It was general common people like you and me were not. Yeah. Sorry.
I s- I watched that movie.
You have seen that, right? So it's a good movie. I like that, right? So that was I was watching recently, so that immediately came to my mind.
He struggled a lot in life.
He struggled a lot. He struggled a lot. But the one thing which I the reason I like that movie so much was about it showed about his struggle, how he achieved that. But the main thing which highlighted to me was his main objective of doing this, right? He
Yeah.
wanted to create some value, some benefit for the people. It was not just I will build a company, I will
Mm.
earn profit. His main objective was that how can I, add some value? How can make something simplified for a general mass, not just for. So that was his main objective, and that is the reason why even after all those struggles, he succeeded. Like even after facing so much of competition from those big companies that time, he could still launch that Deccan Airlines. Fine, ultimately Deccan Airlines was taken over by a different company, but he was the one who started airlines air travel achievable even for the common people. So that's part I liked a lot, that his focus was on creating value.
Can you share some insights or a lesson that you gained in your educational journey?
Yeah, so I think this is again comes back to what we discussed earlier, that why I am doing the hashtag EPC, because again my own learnings and all came up. So when I was in college, it was a similar situation for me, right? I was doing petroleum engineering, but I didn't have a lot of idea that what exactly a petroleum engineer will do, right? So that is something where which I realized later when I completed my college. When I started understanding about different roles, that is one thing that was a lesson learned. Even though I learned it pretty late, but still, that's a lesson learned for me, that you need to do some planning, right? You need to think about something. You need to think that, okay, what you want to do, irrespective of whether it's your career or your work, and then you need to do a lot of planning. So that is one important lesson for me. Do a lot of planning. Sit back, relax, think what you are doing, what you are not doing, and if there are any gaps, how to fill that. So that's all I talk about plan.
How was your career develop over the years? What led those changes?
Yeah, so I think I've seen a very so many different phases of my career. So I started as a cost engineer. That was with L&T, and like I was talking earlier, that initially, and almost every freshers do those things, right? So initially, when I started as a cost engineer, I was given certain work. That okay, I need to complete the cost for this type of this project, that project. So I started working on that. Initially, my focus was just on that, right? So I got my technical specifications, I got my unit rates, I was just preparing a cost, I was submitting for my to my department, my job done, right? That was my initial focus. Later on, I realized that okay, this is not, if I'm doing just this, I am not creating any value, I'm not developing myself, right? So the first phase was, and I don't think there was anything wrong, because initially you are young, you are new, you need to anyway focus on the task given to you, right? So if someone has given me to complete a cost, immediately from the first day, if I start focusing on something related to engineering, something related to construction, something related to procurement, maybe I will not be able to do justice to my base task, right? So that was the right approach. But as and when when I started understanding basic things, I started to look after some other aspects also, right? Say if I am doing a piping estimate, right? I started also understanding within piping there will be valves, there will be different specialty items. I also started understanding what are the different kind of valves. Why do we select this kind of valve for this service? So from purely from cost, I move into a bit technical things. From technical, then I started moving about some commercial part also. When I say, see, cost and commercials are a bit different. Cost is just what we derive as an end number. Commercials are a lot of terms and conditions and all which we need to understand whenever we're doing any project. So I started moving into a bit of commercial roles. Started understanding marketing, sales aspects of any project. I went to a site for some commissioning activities for a few months. I had gained some experience about site execution, commissioning. Then I moved to so this was about my different roles. In between, I also moved to move between different types of companies. So I started with a very core EPC company, L&T, who does all the EPC jobs. Then I moved to Fluor, who does a lot of kind of a PMC kind of a roles also. Then I moved into an owner side of company. So that also helped me, right, to to understand the different aspects of it. So this is how my career evolved, starting from cost, slight technical, some of the site experience, then understanding different aspects of a project.
What are some daily ritual that you follow to stay focused and healthy?
Right. Yeah. So, like I mentioned, planning is one of the most important things for anyone, irrespective of your say uh, role or function. Within planning, there is a rule called 80-20 rule, Pareto rule, right?
Correct.
What this means is that you will be every day you will getting a lot of tasks, right? Probably you get 10 tasks in a day, correct, which you need to complete. If you do a good planning, if you think about those things before starting working on those things, you will realize that out of those 10 tasks, probably there are 2 or 3 things which are either very urgent or which have most impact on your regular work, right? First, try to identify what are those 2 to 3 most important tasks. First, focus on this, right? So once you are done with that, then look into the other things which may not be very urgent, which may not be something very impactful. Then plan for them, right? So this is what for my daily managing my daily routine. This is what I practice. Prioritize your work. Try to understand which are the key things which should be your main priority. Tackle that first. Sometimes the skill here is to understand. Sometimes you may be feeling that this work is my priority, right? There is a possibility that some of the tasks listed in your in your list, there will be one task which you may be feeling that no, it's not that important, but it's very important to some other department, to some other function, right? So if you don't realize that, if you don't address that first, even though if you feel that it may not be that important, that may escalate to you, that may create issues for you going forward, right? So that is the skill, understanding which task is most important. Once you understand that, once you start prioritizing it, then you will be able to plan your work properly.
Correct. Next one is that regarding burnout, some of the young engineers feeling burnout regarding their demanding jobs. So, do you have any tips to share with them?
Yeah, so part of it, Omkar, I already answered. Prioritize your work, right?
Yes.
Understand. I know even I also come into that phase where there are a lot of tasks, where I feel that there will be a lot of things to be covered in a day or in a week, and I also feel that burnout. The only solution to that is that prioritize, try to understand which are the priorities which will have more impact. Try to first address those. There will be situations where everything will appear as a big priority, right? That happens. If there will be situations where everything will be urgent, everything will be impactful, so what to do there. The solution to that is try to have good collaboration with your team, right? Try to build a trust with them, try to have good collaboration, help them so that they will also help you, right? So if you feel that there are a lot of tasks and you're not able to do that, try to communicate that with your team members, right? That, hey, I have these many things to do. If someone can help me to prioritize this, say for example, and as a cost engineer, we need to provide cost to sales people, marketing people, right? Now the same marketing people have given me 10 projects, suppose that I need to provide cost. I know all those 10 projects cannot be urgent, right?
Yes.
So reach out to that person that, hey, this I have these many things. Obviously I will not be able to complete everything in 1 week. Is there a possibility to move something across, right? Many times it happens. They will also understand. Your team members also, they will understand that, okay, which things they should be focusing more. So try to have that collaboration, try to have that communication with your team members. That will help you a lot, right?
Right. This one is regarding the your current job, right? If I am doing the job in company and I'm getting workload, that's why I'm burning out. But I'm talking about that switch type, like I want to switch in my dream company. Uh, in that way, people are getting burnout. So,
Oh, okay, yeah. So for that, Omkar, it's more, I would say, suggestion, a general suggestion to everyone. uh, Everyone is in certain role. Maybe someone is in already into a very good company, someone is not yet, they are doing something. Everyone will have something to reach out and achieve something. Maybe someone will be wanting to join a dream company. You may get it, you may not get it, right? Sometimes these things are not fully into your control, right? My
yes,
suggestion to everyone is, don't feel burned out because of that, right? Keep that
yes,
as your aspiration. Keep that as aspiration. Yes, it's absolutely important that you have some ambition to reach somewhere. The way we define things, it's up to you. That someone will want to join a big company, that may be their aspiration. So that's absolutely fine. But don't think about it so much that it starts like a burnout to you, right? Keep that as your dream, keep that as your target, but keep on developing yourself, right? If you are developing yourself, if you are going, so if you remember, in my website, there are two taglines. One is know what to know, the other is invest in yourself, right? When I say invest on yourself, it doesn't mean money. When I say invest in yourself, it means keep developing yourself, right? Keep your targets. I'm sure if you are developing yourself, if you are planning your career, someday you will definitely reach out to your dream company, or you will start doing good in your current role, that you may feel that you no longer need that big company. Even with a small company, even with a not so popular company, probably you will be getting a lot of good development. Probably you will get a lot of good roles, and hopefully a good salary as well, right? So this is my suggestion, right? Keep your
right.
dreams, keep your ambitions, but don't make it to an extent where it starts negatively impacting you, right?
Correct.
Just keep on developing yourself, keep on learning.
Like said by Jay Shetty, I think you know Jay Shetty, like
Yeah,
an Instagram influencer. He said that everyone is having different clock.
yeah. And just to add to that, Omkar, the definition of dream company is also is bit open, right? So I was working in L&T, and when I mentioned that I went to a site for some commissioning activities, there was one person almost same experience, same age group as mine. He was working with a refractory company. So we have a refractory linings and equipment and all. So he was working with that. For him, L&T was a dream company, right? whenever we were talking, he was always talking, how he can get into L&T, right? So definition of dream company and all is, sometimes it's open, right? We get influenced, we see big brand names, and we feel that, that is my dream company. It may be, it may not be, right? Many times I have seen, even like, when we are in a smaller company, uh, the amount of learning, it may not be, you may be having, some, a very high workload, or some things may not be that good, but the amount of learning which you get in a small company where you have to do a lot of tasks, right? It's much, sometimes it is much higher than when you join a very big company where you are a you have a very specific role, right? You are only doing say, process system, or a control system design, that's it. Someone at the, working level, or in a smaller company may be doing a lot of other things, starting from the design to procurement, right? So don't assume that, bigger companies, bigger brands will always have the best roles, right?
Yes. Next one is, can you share some memorable networking experience or lesson learned from some networking?
Yeah, so for networking, I would say that people of impact is my biggest learning. I either call it a learning or my experience, because because of that, I have come to know about a lot of different profiles, about a lot of different people, and that has helped me a lot, to inspire me. Apart from that, uh, it's not a very memorable, but yes, I would say that, maybe a working thing, because of my networking, because of, say this particular community. Yes, it has like I mentioned, that in the last 2 years we were able to manage 3 job referrals, right? That is purely by networking, right? It was not that those job referrals was not in my company where I am working, right? These were the 3 people who got the job. I don't know them personally. The people who referred them, I don't even know them also, right? So just because of networking, these people got a job. So I think that is something which satisfies me, right? It may not be, it hasn't reached a level where I would say that, we are doing perfectly fine, we are doing great. But whenever I think back, that okay, what I should be doing next with this community, these are the some things which gives me kind of motivation. That okay, with a certain level of effort, if we are able to manage, certain things, if we put some more effort, I am sure we'll be able to help more people. So that is something which I feel that, just because of networking, I was able to do that.
What do you think? Do you have any experience regarding that? How diversity uh, helped the project to build or some teams to build?
Yeah, so I think diversity is very much important. And one thing which I have always, seen many times, that when we are working projects, obviously, there will be a lot of different team members coming from, different functions, coming from different years of experience and all. And recently, what I have been seeing, so uh, in my recent projects and all, there are a lot of, so there are people who are coming from a lot of experience, maybe 10 years, 12 years of experience, even more than that. And there were people who were coming directly from the college, right? Less than 1 year, or just 1 year into the industry. So this is what I have seen, that this kind of diversity. So when I say diversity, it's not just about gender, it's not about, country or same. It's also about, years of experience, right? So of late, since last 2 years or something, I have seen just having, a good mix of years of experience within the team, that helps a lot, right? There are experienced people who are there to help others, who are help to guide them. There are very new people who sometimes ask, or sometimes, bring up some very basic things, which typically, with experience we start overlooking, right? We don't focus on those things. But just because, there are people who are, coming with a very low experience, not exactly into the same field, say, someone coming from a power industry to oil and gas, sometimes they are contributing in a team in a such a way that, they ask some basic questions, right? Which typically we overlook, right? So that's what I have seen, that diverse environment, diverse team, that helps a lot. And there are people who are, coming from different companies, different roles, background. uh, Mostly I have seen, the more diverse the field, the team is, there are more value addition.
Correct. Next question is little different. How would you like to be remembered for your contribution in the field or the community?
Yeah, that's a definitely really difficult one. Yeah, so Omkar, I think, one thing which I like a lot about my role, not just, as a cost engineer or any particular say company, I like to do mentoring a lot, especially to campus heads, because, campus, when I say campus heads, like who have just, completed their courses and joined the industry. So that is something which I can spend any amount of time. I really like that. So probably if you say how people should remember me, maybe I would say it will give me a lot of satisfaction if they remember me as a good mentor, right?
Right.
And when I say mentor, it's not just providing a training. Mentor is when I say if I'm mentoring you, Omkar, right? A good mentor or good mentorship is how well you are doing. Not mentorship is not just passing information from me to you. Mentorship is not just about giving you a presentation about say work processes or different tools or methods and all. Mentorship is that I take the ownership of your performance, right? So if you are doing good or if you're not able to do something very good, how can I help on that? So probably that is one area where if people remember me as a good mentor, I think that is something I feel that I would have done something good.
Mentor or good leader, you can say.
So you can say that, yes.
Like you said that you will take that responsibility of that person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exactly.
Can you describe your working with cross-functional team or working with different departments?
Mhm.
Your approach while working with cross-functional teams.
Yeah. So whenever we are working on, the and projects that will happen, right? When you are working in projects, you have to work with cross-functional, cross-discipline people because that's how a project will be delivered. Now, whenever we are working on such things, everyone is working against their own deliverables. They have their own timelines. Some people have, like we were talking about priority, right? Sometimes there I may have some priority, right? You are, suppose if you are my process engineer, you may have your own priority, right? And many times all those priorities may not align, correct? We are working on different projects, different tasks. So one thing which I need to, I think when we are working as as a team, and this is my suggestion to everyone, I also try to follow that, is everyone should be thinking from the a bit higher picture of the project, right? Think from the project point of view first, then come down to the individual deliverables, individual timelines, right? What is required to be done for this project? Say, suppose there is a delay in some project, right? If there is a schedule delay in project, what is driving that schedule delay? Irrespective of what is my role. If me as a schedule engineer, or me as a project engineer, if there is something which is delaying, something which I have to complete, and that is delaying the project, I should be able to look into it in an unbiased way and understand that from the project point of view, this should be my focus. I am the one who is making a delay, so let's do that, right? So my suggestion to everyone who is working on a cross-functional team is that always think from the project point of view first, then decide what actions to be taken next. Sometimes the action will come to someone else. Try to explain to them that okay, uh, if you don't provide this a deliverable or if you don't complete this work, this is what will have the impact on the project, not about individuals, right? That is one way I always try to work on that, right? And also try to have some trust with your team. So if you come to me and say that Praveen, I am so much busy, I have a lot of other tasks to do, that's why I'm not able to provide some deliverable to me, but you will provide me in next 1 day, 2 day, right? Initially have some basic trust. I should have some basic trust. Okay, if Omkar is saying to me that he's really occupied, he is really occupied. He is not, he's not, trying to, just skip this task. So if he says that I'm occupied, he's occupied. If he says that, he will be able to do it in next 2 days, he is committed to do that, right? So have
Yeah.
that. Overall go one objective of project plus a trust. That helps a lot,
Don't hold the things, right? You have
right?
to.
Yeah.
Uh, Next one, can you share some memorable project experience that
Hmm.
in this 14-year journey, or some achievements or challenges faced during that memorable project?
So memorable project. I think if I think about it. So while I was working in L&T, and this is the phase which I mentioned that earlier I was just doing some cost. Then I started realizing that no, I should be learning some more things. That time there were some projects which came for LNG tank construction, right? So these are the cryogenic tanks. We call it as a full containment tank. And L&T was not doing these kind of projects very regularly, and as a company, they were trying to again enter into that that project area of the LNG tanks. And that came that came to our group, and I was the cost engineer, so I started working on that, right? So that was one project. Since it was a bit challenging because we were not doing those LNG projects since long. So there was a lot of things which we were not aware. We were not we had not much information that how we should be developing the cost, or how will be the execution be done. So there were a lot of things which was required to be developed. Understand about that. Now LNG tank is a very interesting tank. It's probably someone will say it's just a tank, but the way it is designed for cryogenics, the way it is designed for to hold that high volume of say LNG with all those seismic designs and all. It's a very interesting say equipment or project. So that's what I started having a lot of interest in that, and not just into cost. I started to understand what are the different materials used for a cryogenic, whether it's a steel material, whether it's insulation, what are the different testing requirements related to cryogenics, different cryogenic walls, piping. So that I would say that's a very memorable project for me, because I went into a lot of details. I understood a lot of technical things because of that project. I also ended up in writing a manual. Like that was not a like a official manual kind of thing. So I gathered a lot of information through internet. So I was using that for my own reference. Then I thought that okay, if I was using it, maybe some other can also use it. So I just put that into manual, printed it, and I shared with others. So probably that was my first content creation. Maybe it was in the year of 2012 or 13. So that was my first content which I created, and that was very helpful. It may be still be used in LNT. So I need to ask someone from LNT if they are still using it. Yeah.
Next question is related to traveling. How do you manage the traveling lots frequently to the sites and saving away from family?
Yeah. So that is a bit difficult. But for my profile, Omkar, I don't need to travel very often. But yes, sometimes I need to go for some site for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe twice a year. Like that's the highest frequency I've seen. Yeah, it becomes a bit difficult, especially since you are away from your family. You are in a different location, very new location, different country sometimes. So managing food and all, staying alone, it becomes difficult. But yes, that is also part of our job. We know that it's not permanent. You have to travel frequently. That's a different thing, but that's not a permanent thing. You will be there at site for a few weeks and all. Then again, you will be coming back to your family, your country. So it's manageable. It's not that difficult.
Yes. My last question is top five advices to young engineers.
Hmm. I don't think I have 5 advisors, Omkar. And there should not be 5 advisors, because if I give 5 or 10 advisors, then they will get confused.
Because we have connected with a lot of peoples, we
Yeah,
know
yeah,
the journeys of a lot of peoples.
yeah, yeah. So I would say maybe I can share three important advice. Which first one is definitely focus. Right? What do you want to do? Understand. What do you want to do in your life? Uh, if you have got some work for yourself, don't try to every time deviate from that. Right? Don't get distracted with other things. Whatever is your role, right? If you're a cost engineer, yes, focus on your cost job. If you are procurement, if you are process design engineer, focus on your base job. Develop that base fundamental first. That is something definitely it is required, right? People will know you, people will identify you by the base job which you are doing. So if you are a process engineer, if you are a process design engineer, people will first identify you. People will develop your credibility if you do your base job very correctly, right? So that will be achieved through focus only. Next, we already talked, right? Plan for everything. Plan for your work, what you are doing. Plan for a task. Plan for a career as well, right? Don't just leave everything open. That whatever will happen, let it just happen. Think about what you want to do, and keep on learning. There is no end to what new things you can learn. I am in the industry since 14 years now. I still learn. No, I still learn a lot of things while working on projects, right? And
Yes,
some of these are very basic things, right? So there is nothing, no end to how you learn when you learn, right? So focus, keep on planning, and keep on developing yourself, keep on learning.
correct.
Okay.
So thank you, sir, for taking the time from the busy schedule for
No, no, no,
engaging.
absolutely fine.
And
I'm glad, Umpa, like I mentioned, I think your series is going very good, and I'm glad that I could be part of it. I
yes,
hope we will be helping others also to understand about their careers, how they should be growing. And definitely all the best to you. I have heard some big names which you are doing interview next. So all the best to you. I'm sure you will be doing great.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks, Omkar.